Right, so the next thing we're going to do on the drawing is just look at how to start doing the curves and circular edges. So we've got the basic layout now, we know where everything's going. But to turn these wheels into curves, what we're going to have to look at doing is drawing onto the and making it look elliptical. Effectively, if we look at this circle here, from straight on, from a one-point viewing perspective, it just looks circular. But the moment we twist this onto an isometric view, so into the angle where the wheels would be seen, it becomes an ellipse. So rather than being circular, it switches. We end up seeing it at the height still, but we lose some of the width because of it moving onto an angle. So we're going to apply those principles to the wheels and the front of the train. Now, the easiest way of doing this is to break a square section that you've laid up into quadrants, so doing them in sections. So you want a sweeping curve, and what you want to do is try and go between the top point and the widest point and create a curve. And again, down here you're going to create a curve, on the back you're going to create a curve, and as it moves in an elliptical fashion, what you'll find is the top section and the bottom section will seem like they are smaller, and these sections here will feel like they're being elongated at the top corners. Now I'm going to start moving the page around because it's easier to do this with the page sweeping around, so I'll apologise if this sort of gets you a little bit dizzy, but so what I'll do is I'll do all the wheels the same curve, one after the other. And this is how I'd recommend you do it, because once you get your eye in with doing this, then it's easier to do one after the other, because you're effectively just replicating curves. So again, spin it round. What you want to do is using your pencil from your wrist down here, just curving round. You're making sure you touch onto the lowest and the widest point. Again, just spin it around for the last section. So that's given us the wheels of the train. Now, for getting the thickness of the wheels, what we need to do is repeat the same task where we would see it on the back edge there. So again, I'll just work through, building it up. So I'm going to see that section there, and then what I'm going to do is, where the front of the wheel is there, we are only going to see where it matches up with the line. So we're going to see a little bit of a curve there, draw it across there, a bit of the curve there, draw it across again, a little bit of the curve there, draw it across at the back. So we're always matching up this line, it should run parallel. And then same on the top, match it up, and just put a bit of a curve in. That curve there will match that curve there. So it's very much a case of just doing this by eye. You can do this exactly with compasses and rulers, and if you were doing this as being a draftsman on a professional drawing, you would be using the actual correct techniques. And again, this wheel at the back can be done as well. See the back edge there, see some of the front edge. That will disappear into where it joins. We'll see a little bit of the back edge there. So from there, what we will then do later on is we'll go over this with a fine liner or a black pen, and we'll just ink in the sections, and we'll remove all the other bits. You will now start to be able to see areas starting to appear down here, but we'll just leave them for now and carry on with the circles. So again, we've got the same principle on the front of the train. So we've got the centre points, we've got top, bottom, and we've got left and right. And again, we're just going to create a sweeping curve round on here. Create a curve round on here. So we've got the front of the train. We're also going to do the same on the back. So what we're going to do from here is we're just going to very faintly join up some of the back lines on here. what we need to know is where this curve is going to meet. So we've got a point there, we've got a point there, and then we're going to have a point down there at the bottom where the curve will go in. We won't see all of this. Can put a point there. But what we will is we will see some bits that we're going to lose in a minute. So from there, next thing you need to do, the front of the train, is link up the tangentials of the circle. So the tangential of a circle is where if we moved a straight edge along, I'll use pencil actually, slide it up, it will be the two furthest points out that the circle would come into contact with each other. So in the case of this, that's the furthest point out, that's the furthest point out, so I'm just going to join those together, and then we would have the same at the top, which would be the furthest point up that these would meet, and it should be at the same angle as these lines, so that's where they would meet and touch on approximately, and that starts to give us our curve. From here, the only other circle you definitely need to pop on is the top of the chimney, and that can just be done again applying the same technique as used in the wheels, just drawing on there. You can do the same at the bottom here. So again, if you lay up roughly where it goes, you can put a circle on there and you can join those up vertically. If you want to be a little bit cleverer with this, you can make yourself a smaller circle. So you can draw the outer circle on there and then just create yourself a little inner circle which is slightly narrower by copying in. Then from there, put your tangential on. So again, you're touching outside of circle to outside of circle. You can create a funnel with an angle. Only other thing I'd consider on this is whether you want to put some windows on here. And again, you sketch them on as ellipses somewhere in the middle of the row. Those don't have to be perfectly neat. So that gives us our basic train shape. From there, the next thing we need to do is just start rubbing out details.